Hi, I'm Joe and I'm going to give you a quick introduction on how to make the PIY pizza kit. So when you first get your kit delivered, keep it in the fridge, but make sure that from the fridge you take your dough balls about an hour before you cook them. That makes sure that they'll work properly. So before you even start making anything, the first thing you want to do is chuck your grill on the highest setting and then get a dry frying pan, no oil, not wet, nothing weird. Just a normal frying pan, chuck it on high heat and leave it to warm up. We're going to be cooking it in that frying pan. And then the next thing is to make sure that your grill is as close to the element as it can be. So your next step is grab one of your dough balls that's been out of the fridge for at least an hour, and then your little pot of flour. Get your flour and dump some of it on the worktop. And then keep some of it for your hands. Chuck some on your fingers, because you're going to be getting this out of here. And it can be quite sticky. You can see it's quite sticky there. And basically the flour will just stop it sticking to your fingers, and it will make it easier to separate from the tub. And here we're just kind of making sure that we're not working the dough too much, and we're just keeping our fingers covered in flour and just letting gravity do most of the work. I'm just looking to drop it down onto the worktop on top of the flour. Now so the bottom should be covered in flour already. Very gentle with it, try not to knock all the air out of it. Get a nice coating of flour, not too much. And then once it looks a bit like this, you can get rid of the rest. You don't want to over flour it, otherwise it will burn in the pan. Now I'm just going to form the crust, so using the sort of pads of your fingers, not quite the tips, just the flat bits, start pressing around. Depends how big you like the crust, but about that will do the job. And then I'll flip her over and do the same thing on the other side. It should look something like that. Now grab a bit of the leftover flour, sort of chuck it on the back of your hands, and then pick the dough up, and this is the fun bit. We're just kind of looking to work the dough round and get it to be a bit bigger. And working it with the backs of your hands. Try not to use your fingertips or you'll punch through the dough and you end up with holes. And that's a nightmare unto its own. And just sort of hanging it and letting gravity do most of the work. You're not really pulling on it or stretching it. It should just sort of stretch itself. And once you're sort of comfortable with it, or you feel like it's about to break, stop. Don't try and make it too big, otherwise you'll end up with a disaster. Take your dough you spread out and then transfer it into the pan. Might be a bit tricky, but just be gentle, drop her in, and kind of spread it around towards the edges. Now just let it sit in there. So you can see the bread started to rise now, a bit more puffy than when we last left off. And now we're just going to keep checking underneath. So you're starting to get a bit of brownness underneath. We want a bit more than that. Just leave it to go. So we've been checking it, looking underneath now. That's exactly more or less what we want it to look like. At this point, take it off the heat. And this is where we quickly throw our ingredients on before we put it under the grill. Obviously first up is the sauce, just a bit of that, depends how much you like, but good covering. Obviously, as with everything, you only want to use half of this, otherwise the person you're making the pizzas with will be quite angry with you. There we go, that'll do. And then next up, a bit of mozzarella. You want to be quite sparing with this, so we're not looking to absolutely coat it and end up with like a super thick cheesy thing. It wants to be quite a delicate pizza. It comes out and it'll taste a lot better that way. Something like that, maybe a bit more. And then sprinkling of the parm. Again, depends how much you like. a bit of basil on it. And then next up, take it off and throw it into your grill. It should be very hot by now. As when it was on the hob, just keep pulling out and giving it a little check. You're just waiting for the crust to go brown and the stuff to melt. We're getting there now. That's about all we're really looking for. Nice brown on the crust, but not too brown. And then the easiest way we've taken with the plates is to chuck the plate in the pan and pull it out like that. And then just let it sit for 30 seconds to a minute, chop it up and chow it down. Hope you enjoyed making it. I hope you're enjoying it even more. Tag us on social media, keep in touch with us. If you have any problems, you can check the FAQ on the flyer, or failing that, you can get in touch with us by giving us a ring.